So, if you have failed some classes in law school, I have got 3 tips for you to help you bounce back. I failed 8 classes in law school, and then in my last semester, I ended up getting 3 high distinctions, and now I'm a lawyer. So, it is definitely possible to bounce back and improve. So, first things first, you gotta dig deep into the reason why you failed. That is the most important part, because without identifying what went wrong, you don't know how to make it right. So there could be a variety of different reasons why you may have failed that class. For example, some of the reasons why I failed some of my 8 classes is because simply the study strategies I was doing wasn't working. There were life events that was happening in the semester, and also there was a class that I failed simply because I wasn't interested in it at all. But identifying those reasons helped me see what went wrong to make things right for the next time. So how you do this will depend on if the class you failed is a core unit, and if it is a core unit like a Priestley 11, that would mean you would have to repeat it. So if you are going to repeat the unit, then this is important. You have to identify the areas that you just did not get. You have to identify what went wrong that led to that failure. For example, I did equity and trust. I failed it the first time around, and the reason why I failed it the first time around was simply because I was not interested in equity and trust. And obviously it didn't help that it was a core unit that I had to take. So what I had to do, I didn't take equity and trust until my last semester in law school. Like, I put it off until my last semester in law school where I couldn't escape it anymore. And because I knew that I wasn't interested in equity and trust, I had to do, because it's a core unit and I had to do it, I had to make it more interesting for myself. So that's why every time I went to study equity and trust, go to a class for equity and trust, do an assignment for equity and trust, I went to a cafe and had a coffee because that would make me interested in my work. I didn't know what it was, but because I was more interested in my work, I was able to retain the information better. I ended up getting a high distinction in that unit. Like, comparing that unit to getting a high distinction. I'll admit that equity and trust isn't my favorite subject, but I became a little bit more interested in it. So yeah, that's why you gotta identify like what went wrong, so when you do repeat that unit, you know for next time how you're gonna bounce back. But if it is an elective, it may be worth reconsidering whether or not you should just choose another unit for the next semester. So there were a few units that I had failed where it was because I just wasn't interested in it, and I just never did those units again. It was something that I wish I could do with equity and trust, but couldn't. But if you do really, it may be worth choosing a different elective next time. Now, if you haven't already done so, you gotta build up this new habit, which is every time you don't understand something, address it right